first I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of white vinegar. So can I use paint sticks? A couple of things that are dangerous for bees. Hey everyone, welcome to Honeybee Buzz. My name's Alicia.
And I'm Melanie.
And we're going to show you how do we say it?
How to make a candy board out of the materials you already have. So here are the supplies that I have on hand that we're going to be using today. I have a shallow for a 10 frame hive, and I drilled a 3/4 hole here underneath the handle with the drill bit. We have wire cutters, a block. This is 1/2 inch hardware cloth. We have wax paper, a nice big bowl, a spoon, a tablespoon measuring spoon, white vinegar, 3 cups of water. I have 10 pounds of sugar, and I'm going to use about 8 pounds of it. I have a 10 frame top feeder that I took out the floats, and we also have these coarse pine shavings.
Alright, so we've turned our shallow upside down. We put the hardware cloth on top of it. And now we're going to go ahead and staple that in place. You want an extra hand?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. So 3/4 inch. Okay, is that good?
Yes.
All right.
Get a hammer, and I need to hammer these down a little bit more.
Yep, sounds good. Okay, so we ran into a small problem. It turns out that this is a 10-pound bag, and we only need 8 pounds.
Right.
So we brought out a scale to help measure out so that when we have 2 pounds left in the bag, we'll have obviously 8 pounds in the bowl.
Right.
So here we go.
.1. That's good. Close enough.
Close
right?
enough.
Yeah, show them that.
Okay, so we should have done. Okay, we got it down to 2 pounds and 1 ounce. So we are now going to measure out what that is in cups. Make it easier for everybody else who's going to try this.
All right, so first I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of white vinegar into the 3 cups of water. And this will help to prevent the buildup of mold. And then I'm going to add just half of this, so about 1.5 cups of water into the sugar. And then we're going to stir this up. And what we're trying to do is just to get the sugar wet enough so that you can form it. So if you can pack it into almost like a snowball and it holds its form, that's when you know that it's the right ratio of water to sugar.
So just enough to get it into a snowball like texture.
Right.
Okay.
It must be more like an ice ball.
We don't want ice ball.
No.
That would hurt.
All right, moving on to the next step. So our next step is going to be to lay down some wax paper onto the table because I just don't want to have sugar on my table.
The wax paper is just to prevent the sugar from falling through the
While
grates.
I'm packing it.
Yeah, while
Correct.
you're packing it.
There are some beekeepers that lay paper, like newspaper or thin packing paper, on the inside of their candy board, and then they put the sugar on top. But I am going to not do that because in the springtime, if they haven't eaten all of the sugar, then I can reuse it and put it in, make it into sugar syrup for them to drink.
Yep.
And so here's the block I'm going to use. It's just a 2x4. I'm going to put it right here by this hole because what I want them to be able to do is come in and go down into the hive.
That's if they don't
Choose
eat
to
through.
use the top.
Right, if they choose to use the top, they have a place to be able to actually use the top. But you don't want to block it.
So I'm going to pack the sugar really, really tight up against that block.
Seems like a job for the fingers.
If you want sugar on your fingers.
I don't care.
And we're only packing it to about an inch, inch and a half at
In
the
depth?
most. Yes. I'm only doing it on this side because that side we're going to do second
The second
batch.
8-pound batch.
Yep. This sugar will become hard as a rock by tomorrow. So now I'm going to take this block out. I'm going to put it over here in the corner.
And we're putting it in the corner because...
We're going to create ventilation on both sides, on both corners.
Oh, okay.
So now I'm going to make my second batch.
Okay. This is before we knew what the measurement in cups
Right.
was.
Right.
All right, so we add our last 1.5 cups of water.
Right.
So a total of 3 cups per 16 pounds of sugar.
Yes.
And then we'll mix this up to be like a snowball
Mm-hmm.
and then add it to our box. All right, so we got it all mixed up.
Yes.
And we're going to add it to one corner here.
A couple of things that are dangerous for bees. One is moisture, and the
Yeah.
other is not having enough food. So that's what we're doing right here is we're providing them with enough food. If they want it, they can come up and get it. This is going to sit on the top of their hive, and they can enter in through this hole, they can exit, they can eat this sugar.
So this allows the bees to be able to come up easily.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also allows for ventilation or the moisture to excess moisture to come up through this spot.
The moisture that the bees create inside the hive will rise up to this sugar, and it will help to soften the.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna call it candy. It some people may not call it candy, but I'm calling it candy. It's made out of sugar. So it will soften the bottom part of the candy, so the bees can nibble on it from underneath.
So between their heat that they
And the
produce
moisture,
and the
right.
moisture that they produce from the respiration,
Right.
it will help melt the sugar down, and then they have a free food bar if they need it.
Right, and it won't drip on them. So that's
Right.
That's another
The water from their respiration won't drip on them.
Right. That's another reason why beekeepers do not feed liquid in the winter. They feed hard candy.
Yep.
This looks amazing.
It does. It looks really good.
And some beekeepers like to add honeybee healthy to this. I chose not to. I just wanted them to have the sugar. So the main reason why I'm doing this is because I have a hive that did not store a lot of honey this fall. It was a split from my main hive, and they were doing great with building out the comb, and they were doing great with their population. They just didn't store enough for the winter. So I found this method right here online of creating this sugar substitute candy for the bees, so at least they'll have food if they want it.
There we go. All right. So
That
we
looks
have
great.
our 3 holes for ventilation. The bees can get in and out that 1/4-inch hole as well.
Yep. 3/4.
If needed, 3/4. Sorry, that's a 3/4-inch hole. They can get in and out the hive there if needed. If they prefer that, that's fine. And then they also have the ability to crawl up here and access the honey not only from below, because it's screened on the bottom, but they can crawl up through here and access it from above.
Yep. So I'm going to let this harden. And after it hardens, I'm going to, on a not too cold day, because I don't want to chill the bees, I'm going to put this box on top of their hive body. And then what I'm going to do is add this top feeder. So here's the top feeder with the floats taken out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place this on top of the candy board, like this. And then I'm going to add these coarse pine shavings into the troughs, all the way up to the top.
And this will help with?
This will help with absorbing some of the moisture that forms inside the hive.
And you usually want to use pine shavings instead of straw, because straw has a tendency to mold and pine shavings do not. And this is actually a form of a quilt box. Not only does it help to absorb moisture, but it also serves as an insulator.
Yes.
So it helps trap the heat for the bees towards the top.
Right. There's a couple more things I wanted to add. The bottom of the hardwood cloth will press down on top of the bars. And so in order to help give them the bee space that they really need, it is suggested that you use a 1/4-inch piece of wood. I'm thinking paint stir sticks, and you just lay that across perpendicular to the top bar, and then you lay your feeder on top of that. Also, on your lid, it is also suggested to flip the lid over, and on the inside of your lid to staple down a little piece of plastic made from like a political sign, a little piece of that plastic, just to help with the ventilation, to help reduce the moisture.
And this is
that
on
can
the
harm
top,
bees.
the top cover.
Yeah, it's on the inside of the top cover,
Yeah.
on all 4 corners.
Right.
And that's what I'm going to try this year. So pray that this works, and that the bees like it, and that the bees come out stronger out of winter than they went into fall.
Awesome. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, we definitely would all love for our bees to come out healthy and strong out of winter. That is absolutely necessary. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And Melanie, thank you for showing us how to make this version of a candy board to be able to help our bees not only with feeding them, but to help prevent moisture buildup and to keep our bees healthy. If you guys like this video, please click the like button down below. And if you would like to see more, please subscribe. And thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.